A lot of the sellers that are listing homes at that price point in the luxury market, they're looking for agents who are willing to invest in them. But I always tell agents, you have to be willing to invest in yourself.
Welcome into Content on Tap, and today we're talking about the importance of marketing and branding in real estate. Today's guest is Lindsay Dunlap, a multiple-time 40 Under 40 list maker, 2019's SDAR Realtor of the Year, and the woman that broke a 13-year record for the highest sale in all of San Diego County with $21.5 million in Del Mar. I'm Brian Hernandez, owner of Ordinari and a creator that's been fortunate enough to have content we've created for clients featured in outlets like Forbes, ABC, NBC News, and more. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about perception and everything you need to know about branding yourself within the luxury market as a realtor. So Lindsay, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Definitely pleasure is mine. So I want to talk about branding and perception really as it applies to real estate specifically. What are kind of the general critical elements of your brand as a realtor or just as somebody in real estate in general?
I would say it's really important to be consistent. So whatever that looks like for you, everyone is different. Certainly there are agents that are very showy or that might have certain logos or some type of branding that's recognizable. Whatever it is, I think consistency is really important.
Right.
It wasn't that long ago that I was not interested in having a logo or, a color scheme or anything like that. But once I did, it was really interesting to see how quickly it was recognizable and getting compliments from other agents and clients that the branding was on point. So I think it's simple, but consistency is the key.
Okay, that's fair. Do you think there's a strong connection between your branding and revenue in real estate?
Absolutely. Because, referral business is great. But if you have something that people can go and look at, you can get additional business that is not a direct referral. Maybe they've heard of you, but they don't really have a good friend that's worked with you. And so, and even just in my recent business, I've had agents from other states that are looking for a referral partner or looking to refer their clients who are relocating. And so the first thing they do is go to my website and my social media. So it's very important to have that up to date and, look at it as if someone else is looking at you and judging you. If you're looking for that second resource of business.
That makes sense. And the impact that you get from social media in a lot of cases, I think, is more building relationships than it is necessarily farming deals or leads directly from, this post or that direct message. So the kind of ability to keep updated content there in the background and on your website, I think it sets you up a lot more for referrals, which referrals aren't necessarily something that people directly think of like, oh, I'm going to get referrals from my social media. They think I'm going to get referrals from a networking event or, my neighborhood or a friend or something like that. But you definitely can get more possibilities for, like you would say, out of state, out of city, out of network referrals from something like social media or website. So I think that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll have people that will drive by a house and see my sign and they'll just take my name and look me up on Instagram and see if, how much business I'm doing, or they'll be able to investigate a little bit further to see if they're interested in working with me. So I think it's important to be, to clean it up.
Is it fun for you knowing that like people are kind of cruising around your neighborhood wanting to kind of look that up? Or is that like, was it uncomfortable at first? Did you have to kind of get past that?
Uncomfortable at first, but for me, especially having a husband and 2 kids, although people want to see a little bit more into your personal life, trying to keep it a little bit separate for me is ideal. So, for example, I have a personal Facebook, and if your phone number is not in my phone and we're not friends, then you're not my Facebook friend. But I do have a business page on Facebook, just in case someone wants to look me up on Facebook, they can find me. And then Instagram is more business focused for me. So you often won't see any photos of my kids on on Instagram, maybe on a 24-hour story. Occasionally, I also have a private, friend group on my Instagram because there are a lot of strange people out there who,
Of course.
might want to, I've had a couple scary calls in the past, and so I've learned to separate that, and it's served me just well.
Yeah, and you have to draw a line somewhere between what's business and what's personal, and just kind of comes down to a personal preference. And you can see some people, there's no line. They're totally comfortable doing all business and all personal, all in the same place. And you'll see wife, family, kids, vacations right next to new listing, right next to on this podcast, So I think it's sort of a personality trait thing, person to person, but I find it hard for me to be comfortable posting, all of the everything behind the scenes, even though I think in some cases, people that are following you and are interested in who you are, that's the element that they might be more interested in. It's just not the element that I guess, enjoy creating content around. So if you're not the type of person that feels totally comfortable just putting out unfiltered, unscripted, things, I think that it can feel a little bit like you're out in the wild, but it's fun to see other people being more comfortable with it than I am, at least.
Yes, I agree with you.
So moving on, I want to cover positioning yourself as an expert, kind of specifically within real estate. And you made kind of an out-of-the-box power move when you were kind of transitioning into Del Mar with that custom branded magazine. Can you set the stage for us a little bit with what that move was? And then I want to talk about execution-wise, how you did it and what benefits you kind of saw.
Well, I think it's important to look for opportunity all around you. And so I think it was 2016, maybe 2017, where I was presented an opportunity to kind of take ownership on a Del Mar magazine exclusive to me as the real estate expert in Del Mar. Perception goes a long way. And although I didn't claim to be the expert of Del Mar, the one and only, because I have some incredible agents that also work and farm in Del Mar, but taking that opportunity and leveraging it as much as I could was really important to me. So I said yes. I took a chance. I gave it time to mature, and I gave it time to show me if it was going to work or if it was going to be a waste of my time. I think patience is a huge part of marketing. You can't just, throw out your bait and hope to get a big fish. You have to be patient. And so that was something that I did then, and it's definitely been working for me. And it's not just people who are receiving the magazine, it's people who are outside of that farm that I can share that I have that ownership and that I can promote their properties. And, it gives me a little bit of a leg to stand on with setting myself apart from other agents.
Yeah, of course. And that's something that you're putting yourself in a totally different category, not only because the magazine is really area focused, but you're the only person being covered by it. How were you able to control the distribution of that to target the specific neighborhoods or like business centers that you were going after? Did you just do blanket?
That part was super easy because Del Mar is not a huge city. And so I wanted to focus on homes that are west of the 5. Obviously that goes into the higher property values. And so it was pretty easy just to target that neighborhood. So that zip code 92014 west of the 5.
Okay, that makes sense. And obviously if you're already familiar with the exact neighborhood, down to this side of the 5, a whole zip code is going to get you a pretty solid lead base there, I would imagine.
Yeah. And I think for anyone else that's looking to do something like that, whether it's any city or neighborhood in San Diego, you can kind of feel out where you want to be working and then look into those neighborhoods and see maybe where there's more turnover or where you might have friends in the neighborhood, or maybe there's a development within the neighborhood that, is a higher price point, whatever it is. And sometimes the lower price points are even better. Maybe there's more turnover. Del Mar is not a high turnover. So it was a bit of an investment to decide to go there as opposed to an area like Forest Ranch or Poway that has more turnover.
Did you get kind of in the initial couple of months of putting that magazine out, did you get a lot or any pushback from other realtors in the area? Or were you even listening for that at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I absolutely did. There were agents that were not so much wondering why I was doing it, but when you're done with it, I want to pick up on that. Or how did you get that opportunity? I want it, which only made me want it more.
Yeah, of course. Because they're only saying that because they're immediately seeing it as a successfully executed opportunity.
And what most agents don't know is that I play very well in the sandbox. I love collaborating with agents. I love supporting other agents. I think there's enough business for everyone. And so there are certain agents that have asked me about it. And I've said, hey, if you have a listing in Del Mar that you want me to promote, I'm happy to promote it in the magazine. And they're shocked by that. Or what would I owe you? Or what is the cost on that? Or, what's the catch? No catch. Maybe what someone will, the worst thing that could happen is someone sees it and says, hey, I want to buy it. Lindsay, would you represent me as the buyer's agent? And then, the other agent still gets the sale as the listing agent. So that's worst case scenario, which seems like a great scenario.
Yeah, of course. And again, it seems like more of a win-win than anything else. Do you have any interest in expanding that magazine? Like, do you see the success that you were able to do with it in this area as something that's repeatable, or do you feel like that was just an isolated opportunity that you just had the momentary advantage on here?
I would love to expand it. It comes down to cost.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to put all of my eggs in just that basket. So I'm not very good at creating a marketing budget or a budget at all. That's probably one of my worst habits, is just kind of spending on impulse. But I like to have the magazine in play as one portion of my marketing strategy and business plan. And then, sponsoring, I have sponsorships that I nurture that are really important to me. Those are a pretty penny. So kind of spreading that around is best for my business at this time, but I would absolutely love to expand it. It would only help me, but it's a big financial commitment.
Yeah, of course. So you mentioned sponsorships. You have a sponsorship at the racetrack, at Petco, among a pretty healthy list of others. What's your strategy on picking sponsors? Are you contributing to organizations that you like the mission of? Are you looking for like a marketing return? Is it case by case? What's your thought process there?
So 2 different things. Charities that I'm involved with is sort of one part of it, and then sponsorships is another part. I love sports. I'm an athlete myself. My family's full of athletes. Any sports opportunity we can get involved with is great. And the racetrack is also a sport. But the Del Mar racetrack is more so important to my business because it really embraces the culture of Del Mar. And so to know Del Mar, to work in Del Mar, to love Del Mar is also to embrace and love the Del Mar racetrack and all the fun and excitement that brings and the history that brings. So that was a no-brainer for me. It's a great opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to spoil clients of mine, give them VIP experiences there, also mix and mingle with different people who are coming in from all over the country. So that's just kind of a fun no-brainer. My partnership with the San Diego Padres was just really my love for sports and an opportunity. Again, opportunity presented itself in 2018 and I jumped on it. And I also participate in a sponsorship with the Farmers Insurance Open every year at Torrey Pines. It's just, again, I love sports. I love the opportunity to spend time with people, to enjoy those sports events. So it's easy.
So along with your kind of takeover of Del Mar, you set a record-breaking 21.5, I believe was the number, the largest sale in San Diego in 10 years, correct?
I think it was 13 years. And it was it was incredible. And I had a partner at that time, Erica Antorno, and we listed that together, sold that together. Great client, a repeat client, a fantastic seller that we had, a nice opportunity. It was exciting, but I will say that maybe 6 months after the record was broken, and it was broken multiple times after that. So it was short-lived, but it was still an incredible experience to be part of that.
So what are kind of the critical pieces, marketing wise, networking wise, like business decision in general wise, that put you in the position to be able to execute on that sale?
Well, I think that you have to be open to investing in yourself and in your clients. And a lot of the sellers that are listing homes at that price point in the luxury market, they're looking for agents who are willing to invest in them. But I always tell agents, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. And, we don't always have a ton of money to spend, but if you have an opportunity of a listing, you should really invest into that opportunity and leverage it as much as you can. And if you leverage it properly, then you won't just sell that home. You'll have multiple new opportunities for people who are seeing you sell that home. And so, investing, I like to say when I take on a big listing that there's really no marketing avenue that I'm not going to explore to get the house sold, that I'm never going to hear, my house wasn't marketed properly. We didn't have enough eyes on our property. I'm never going to hear that. And so if you're really working towards that goal, the house should sell. The only reason it shouldn't is price, but you can kind of work with your clients on that once you get your activity. But, marketing in the local real estate magazines, doing an email campaign, a digital campaign, looking out of areas who might be a good switch for the market. Maybe you target some areas in Arizona or in San Francisco, or just trying to do a deeper dive on where you believe your buyer's coming from, and then doing as much marketing as you can, and actually tracking those results, making sure that you look at the data to see if your content is being opened or read or viewed. That will sell the home.
I think you mentioned, and just an aspect right there that a lot of people in almost any line of business, real estate and otherwise, kind of overlook or too intimidated to really look into, and that's the analytics, the numbers behind the marketing that you're doing. Can you give me an idea of what numbers you're really looking at, what you look at as like key performance, like this number drives revenue for me, this one I don't really pay attention to? What are things that you kind of value as key performance indicators in your business?
Well, just the most simple tool is it's actually a tool provided by Compass. We do have the tech side of our business, and so having an app on my phone that can show me insights into who's viewing my listings, whether it's on compass.com or on my social media, or even if they're searching realtor.com and Zillow, third-party websites, it will track those and show me not only how many people are viewing, but how long are they viewing. If they're only viewing my listing for 20 seconds, that means that they're scrolling and trolling. They're not interested. I just sent some analytics for a client last week, and the average time spent on the listing was 4 minutes. I mean, that's a long time to be looking. I mean, people are obviously studying the photos and reading the content and must have interest, but it will also tell me what part of or what location those people are in. And so if I look at the map as part of my app, and it shows me that, 20% are coming from New York. Why are they coming from New York? Well, maybe it's a good switch market for someone on the East Coast because it's a warmer destination or a second home. And so maybe I need to do some reverse target marketing back to those people and making sure that if they've looked at it once, maybe they see it on a Google ad when they're shopping, and then it kind of refreshes their memory about the house. So there's a lot of ways to look at your data and put it to its best use.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you covered there was really smart, and there's kind of an element within some of the older schools of thought in real estate that your marketing is so tied to word of mouth and to the number of hands that you're shaking and to the number of networking events and open houses that you're going to, but the ability to retarget and to look at the numbers and kind of be able to tell, like, oh, there's a bunch of people in New York that I would never have the opportunity to go and do a networking thing right now in this moment. You can remarket to them from literally across the country because you're looking at the numbers and looking for opportunities in the numbers. And that alone is an aspect of business that I think a lot of people are too intimidated to do, even on platforms like the app that you're mentioning, when all of the numbers are pretty spelled out to you. If you're not comfortable enough and patient enough in a lot of cases to just comb through those numbers and figure out what they really mean and how you can take actions to take advantage of the opportunities you're seeing there, I think that alone kind of puts you in a little bit of a different category, a step or two ahead. And I'm sure there's numerous other reasons like that, but you're seeing success pretty much across the board. I can't imagine that those are unrelated.
Thank you.
Of course. So I'm curious, you said that it took 6 months or so for that record to be broken. Tell me a little bit about what that felt like from the few moments after the dust settled to the next 6 months when you got to be essentially queen of the world. What was that like?
Oh, I don't know if I was queen of the world, but I don't get wrapped up too much into the hype of things. I just want to keep going, keep working. Don't focus on, what I did yesterday or last week or the year before, but where I'm going and what I'm working on next. And so,
Right.
so I didn't really get caught up too much in it, to be honest.
It's a very humble answer.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to keep working and on to the next sale,
And that makes sense. If you're really in kind of the mind space of like grinding and trying to make progress, I think it's healthy to not get too caught up on, one big success in one moment, especially if it's not, it needs to be one of many successes. It's not like that one thing means you're done. Game is over. You won.
Yes, because this business, you can catch a wave and you can ride it, but you have to stay out there. You can't just let you ride all the way in. I mean, you see so many agents who have a big sale, and I congratulate them too. There's no judgment, but they'll make a big sale, and the next thing you know, that they're in Tahiti, and they take the next 6 months off, which is great. That's not part of my business plan. I got to keep going.
Yeah, I've kind of had the same. I have a hard time turning the switch off. I'll really hustle hard for a couple of months and get to the goal that I told myself, like, once I do this, once I finish this big project, I'll take I'll take a trip or take a week out, whatever it is, and I get to the point where I've gotten over that hump and I relax for like a day. And in that day, I'm already brainstorming the next thing that I've already have mentally put on my to-do list. And maybe I'm enjoying this moment now, but I just feel like it's going to cost me down the road. Like, do you have that same feeling?
Yes. And I'm all for vacations and it's great. And I was able to travel the last couple years, which was great, a week or two at a time. But yeah, I think naturally I was still working. I mean, I have a really cool picture that I didn't mean to take, but I'm sitting in front of my computer, putting an offer together in like the center of the city of Rome. And, the whole nightlife was like, it was all lit up and it was just a really cool picture. But, I never stopped working.
Wow.
Because I think people depend on you, and if you put them on pause, they might go and find someone else that can help them.
That's true. And I think in in the mind of a lot of people that are entrepreneurial, there's always that mindset of like, if I relax for just a minute, somebody else is going to come in and take this opportunity, or my clients are going to forget about me. And I think when in the times where I've kind of taken a step back, or the times that I've kind of gone on, maybe just a fun, not so business day with a client and gotten like some kind of personal time in a lot of cases, I sort of find out that totally just exists in my head. And to a certain extent, I mean, if you step away for a couple of days, clients that you've provided an immense amount of value for are not going to forget about you. I feel like that.
Right.
But when when you get a little bit of personal time in with them, or when you step away and you see that things in your business are still running more or less on track 72 hours, later when you clock back in, it does help just set the stage with a little bit more of like a realistic expectation mindset wise, just for myself. But that only lasts for me for like another week, and then I'm right back to just feeling like, if I take Saturday and Sunday both off, like I'm going to come back to a fire on Monday. So I don't know. I just go in circles with it. So we're going to play a game. It's called Buy, Sell, or Rent. It works just like Screw, Marry, Kill from high school, but for real estate. I'm going to give you 3 options for you to pick the best, worst, and middle to buy, sell, or rent. Buy is your best option, sell is your worst option, and rent is your kind of middle, okay, I'll take an option. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So for our first option, this is going to be for a property you're listing to sell. It can have panoramic scenic views, an extra half-acre lot size, or a large workshop-style garage. Buy, sell, or rent.
So buy is the view.
Okay.
I had that right. And then rent would be, what was this? The lot size, and sell would be the garage.
Nobody wants a garage.
The men do.
Fair.
I don't know.
I think the view would be the most desirable, and I think the lot size would probably be the most like useful. So yeah, I think I would agree with you there. That makes sense.
Okay, good. Yeah.
All right. So for a property to invest in, this is one that you would be investing in. Would you go residential property in a growing neighborhood, a commercial property in a busy downtown area, or a vacant lot in a developing suburb?
Okay, so buy would be the commercial.
Okay.
In the busy area. Sounds like it's thriving. The rent would be the first option, the residential in an upcoming neighborhood. And sell would be the vacant lot.
Okay. I think the vacant lot sounds like the most work to me. It sounds like the most long-term. I think the other two sound like more immediate 3 to 5 year kind of plan.
Yes.
So I think I would do the same. That makes sense to me. So for a neighborhood to live in, for you to live in, would you go the Covenant in Rancho Santa Fe, Sunset Cliffs right on the front row, the iconic ones, or Torrey Pines all the way high up with the view?
Me personally?
Yes.
Me personally would do...
Money's not an option.
Okay. So I would do Rancho Santa Fe Covenant to buy. I would rent Torrey Pines and I would sell Sunset Cliffs.
Ooh, why?
I love Sunset Cliffs. I love Point Loma. But if it was me, resting, planting some roots, it's super busy, and I like my home base to be quiet, intimate, big enough to throw events and entertain and host and be loud, but not have transients and random people coming through and creating problems or issues. And I hear about those all the time. I hear about the fancy houses on the beach and on the cliffs, and if the view is great, then you're not the only one that wants to see it. outside factors that I can't control is not where I want my home base.
That's fair. All right. So for a 2-week, all expenses paid vacation, a girls' trip with you and your bestie, a couples trip with you and your partner, or a full family trip with the kids too?
Number one buy is a full family trip. My kids are awesome. They're like little people that are just incredible. I pinch myself every day that I have 2 incredible, strong, beautiful, intelligent, talented daughters. I would spend all my time with them if I could. My husband's included in that. So that would be buy. And then rent would be a couple's trip. And then last would be a bestie's trip.
Okay. Well, sorry for your bestie, but those sound like good options. All right. So moving into ways to differentiate yourself in the market, I want to talk a little bit about things that you're seeing that are working, things that you're seeing that aren't working. What are some things that you would recommend for or against for some new realtors kind of coming into the market?
Advice for new realtors coming in the market: definitely getting out and I think there's this misconception of like, I don't have any business, so there's nothing to work on. And going to work doesn't necessarily mean going and asking someone for business, because that's awkward, right? So it would be keeping busy with things like going on Caravan, going to the broker pitch sessions, meeting agents, asking them questions. What's working for you? Supporting other agents is so huge as a part of my business. And it's very natural. It's genuine. It's not, part of a plan. But I don't understand agents that are not busy, that are not out talking to other agents and supporting their businesses. Within that same opportunity, you can go to a house that's open that is, a high, it could be any type of listing. It doesn't need to be a high-end listing, but something that you might want to go to. I was just thinking luxury, because you can go and see something that's so impressive, take a video, ask the agent, is it okay if I take video, create reels, create content, and just showcase that. Maybe highlight a property of the week. Maybe, and when people are looking at your social media, they don't necessarily know or care if it's your listing. They just know that you're out and you're out in the market, and that what's going on, that you have a grasp for what's happening in the market. And so I think that's so important. And I'm shocked that other agents aren't doing that, but I would say that's a good start.
Yeah. And the opportunity just to go tour other impressive properties and create content around that. And it's free, and it totally sets you on track to, at the very least, look, if you're brand new and have nothing on the board, look like you belong in the space, and like, and know other people and have the ability to get into these places.
But people can get really specific with it. I have a teammate who, before she was on my team, she was a brand new agent in 2015. Didn't have any business, but she was very active, would go on Caravan, tour all the homes, and she created a very non-salesy content. I don't think she even knew she was doing it, but basically she had a floor of the week. And so she would go look at all these beautiful homes, and then she would take a photo or a video of, actually, I think it was just a photo of really cool, unique floors. I mean, different tile patterns, beautiful hardwood, stone, whatever it was. And you would think that she would run out of options, and never did. And it could have been, something in a shower, so she would take a picture, and she would wear really cute shoes and just show the tops of her shoes, which is always kind of fun to look at. And then this floor, and and people would ask, where is that floor? What type of floor is that? And I started following this agent because I was just so anxious to see what she was going to come up with next. And so it was just this really cool concept that she came up with, floor of the week. And, she had a lot of followers that were anxious to see where she was going next. And I just thought that was really creative and cool. And, anyone could do something like that, or something that's passionate for them. For her, it's shoes and floors. So
Yeah, and that's a really, I think that's a smart idea. It's something where you're able to make content out of an activity that you were already doing anyway. You already needed to be there for the listing or the showing, or you're not carving out extra time out of your day beyond wearing cute shoes and 30 seconds to take a picture. And you can translate that same idea to, countertop of the week and, cute nails or a cool watch or something. Like there's a lot of other ideas that I think you could spin to make this is my brand, this is my kind of content ideas out of that. And it would be, I think, smart just to brainstorm some, especially if you're new in real estate trying to think of, what do I even make content out of? I don't have a lot of things on the board. And that's right there, and a no-brainer sort of idea.
And another thing is open houses, open house opportunities. I mean, if you have no business and you're not doing any open houses, I can't help you. I don't understand it. I mean, it's just an easy way to meet new people. And I think there's agents out there that really might not want a brand new agent or someone they don't know hosting their open house. But why not take it another step and say, hey, I know that I'm sure you and your team have this open house covered, and I'm new to this business, but it might be a good idea to have a second person at your open house to make you feel more comfortable. Maybe it's a large home that you don't want to be home, alone in. I can just be a second person. Maybe I can help you put out your signs. What if I helped you greet people at the door? Taking an extra step and initiative to just make yourself more familiar with other agents, then eventually that will create a comfortability to where they would hand off their open houses to you. And pushing that a step further, I've had hundreds of agents hold open houses for me. And the ones that I'm calling back and the ones that I want to partner with are the ones that call me afterwards and give me the feedback. How was the open house? What was the traffic like? Did the neighbors come through? Were people coming through just because they saw the sign? Did they notice the marketing? What value can you add to me that I can now give back to my client? There's a lot of times where you never hear back from the agent. You're like, well, okay, I guess it was good. Or maybe it was bad, but just being really efficient and owning whatever you're doing and doing the best that you can at that will create more opportunity in itself.
Hearing no in general is always uncomfortable, but if you're positioning it like that and reaching out with opportunities and saying, hey, can I help with this? Can I help you put your signs up? Can I help you meet and greet? Can I help, can I bring cookies? If you ask 10, 15 people, like, you're going to get a yes. You're going to hear a couple of no's too, but just have a short memory. Forget the no's and move on to the next. And there's an element of that when you're starting in any business, when you just sort of have to do the grind part. You have to meet people. You have to become as comfortable as you possibly can hearing no, because you have to get through the no's before you can get to the yes. You're not going to start with a yes. And, I guess you can roll the dice and maybe get lucky, but I sure didn't. I don't know that I've ever started a business and started with a yes. I started with a lot of maybes. But what are other ways that you can kind of use value add strategies or programs, things like Compass Concierge, to add more to a sale, or kind of bring in a client who maybe otherwise wouldn't have wanted to come on board, or wasn't necessarily wanting to put in the money for this or that? And is there a thought process that you go through? Is it really case by case? Or those things that you're looking for to upsell, or?
Yeah, case by case, but I think it's important when you have a listing opportunity that you present all options that you can provide to help the client. And they sort of will get to that point where I might need this or I don't need that. One example is offering a bridge loan. It might be really helpful for some, but not for others. But just knowing that we have those options is helpful. Another thing that Compass does is we have our private exclusive program, which allows us to sort of pre-market our listings and our inventory to other Compass agents. So that's huge. The Compass Concierge program is great. I mean, I come across clients all the time who say, well, I appreciate that, but I don't need money from Compass to take care of X, Y, and Z. Well, no, you might not, but you might like to keep your money in your bank account and
Yeah.
have us front that for you and just make it easy and sort of handle the process for you. I mean, who wouldn't want that? So it's nice to have options that you can give. And when you are going in a listing presentation against a competitor that doesn't have many options, they're not quite as competitive.
Yeah, and that makes sense, especially just the element of, yes, you might have the money and the resources to be able to do this project, but not having to spend like there's a convenience and just a logistics factor to that I think makes the concierge program in general, or in specific, like a really useful utility for somebody. Do you find yourself going for one specific program more than others? Is there anything outside of network that you also tend to rely on?
The concierge program is huge. I would say at minimum 50% of my listings go through the Compass Concierge program. And the reason is because, some people don't want to spend money, or they don't want to go through the hassle of painting or changing their floors. But what we could show them is data. If you want to spend 20, we can get you maybe 200,000 more. So it's really hard to refute those ideas. And when you have someone that's willing to schedule those things for you, to, coordinate meeting with the painter and letting them in and doing all the hassle with it, it makes it really, really easy.
Yeah, I think the done for you aspect of that program makes it really enticing. And when you can kind of pair the convenience element of that, just like, let me handle all the hard parts of this, just, pay for it on the back end. I think that's about as easy of an upsell to justify, like, as the homeowner, I think, as it gets.
And staging is a big one too. In the beginning of 2020 or 2021, beginning of 22, when the market was on fire, I had agents say, I cannot believe you're talking your sellers into staging. Or even if they lived in their home, bringing a stager into, I use the term fluff, just kind of fluff up the house. Why would you have them spend $3, $6, $9, $10,000? My answer is, well, we're paying for it up front. Yes, the house will sell in 3 days. I know that regardless, but at what price? Mm-hmm. So, and I would hear people say, well, anyone can sell a house in this market. At what price? You're probably right. But, you might be able to sell this house for $2 million, and I could probably sell it for $2.5 million. So it's taking that extra step into explaining that positioning your property the way it should be to maximize the value is probably your best bet. And having resources.
Yeah. And also the market that you're if you were targeting really budget level residential neighborhoods, maybe that thought process wouldn't be as applicable. It wouldn't make as much sense to spend $9,000 on staging a house if you're selling it for $750. But if you're selling a way more high ticket property, something that needs to be painted in a specific light to get the end result that you're looking for, it's a marketing investment. It's not even necessarily something that you're doing just for vanity because I want pictures of my house that look nice. As the buyer, you're investing in marketing collateral for your property that's gonna get you an X% return. It's not something that I think people should look at as just what the word says. Like, you're not just staging your house, you're not just having pictures you're creating marketing collateral. And right. You can market your property however you want, but understand that it's marketing and you're going to attract a price that correlates and attract a type of clientele that correlates with the messaging that you're putting out. And that messaging is everything from the photos, the videos, to the words, to the way that it appears and smells and looks in person. All of that is part of your marketing collateral. And I don't think that any of those should necessarily be looked at as just frivolous expenses by the buyer. I mean, those are investments that make concrete sense, when it comes to the dollar amount that you're going to see at the end of the sale. No.
Yes, and I would even say on the lower budget, 750,000. I had someone who was in the process of moving out, said I can just leave some of these things so that we have some furniture in the house, so it's not a vacant house. Well, the furniture sucked, and so I said, no, go ahead. You don't want to move twice. Moving is bad enough. Why do it twice? Move everything out and let's spend a little bit of money in staging. For this house, so I don't see, just as you said, maybe the bang for the buck. Well, what would you say for a minimum guarantee of 100% on your investment? What does that mean? Well, if you're going to spend, if it's a smaller house, maybe it's not 10,000, maybe it's 5,000, but even if it were 10,000, if we put $10,000 of staging into this home, I can guarantee you we can get $20,000 more than if you didn't. And that's a hard concept for some people, but the proof is in the pudding. And typically when you can help people to see that through other examples, and then they get their house staged, they're like, I've never seen my house so nice. Like, I don't even want to sell. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, can I just stay here? I mean, and you're like, no, but this is why we're good at our job. And, it's not always about just staging. You don't want to find the cheapest stager. You don't want to put a bunch of junk. Sometimes I cringe when I see the blow up mattress or the staging, and then you see a sign that says, I mean, maybe for photos, but when you're having people come through and experience the home, I think you see a sign that says, do not sit on this bed. This doesn't, it's like, it kind of takes a little bit of away. I mean, why not spend the extra $500 and get some real mattresses in there and, let people, if it's a nice bedroom, maybe they want to sit down. You would want to encourage that. Have a seat, smoke up the room, feel the energy in the home. Anytime I can get anyone to sit down in a house, they're typically interested. So it's a good thing.
And also, God forbid you do something that makes somebody physically spend more time in your listing. Why would you want them to sit down and get comfortable? Like, being very sarcastic here, but yes, put a chair out, put a mattress. If somebody wants to lay down and see what the view out the window is going to be like if they have their bed here, like, give them the opportunity. Especially if it's a scenario where you're just to get the blow up mattress and the couch they can't sit on, you're already spending a couple $1,000s. It's not like that is going to come for $500. So you're already spending a significant-ish amount of money. You might as well spend a percentage more than that and get something that's actually going to look impactful in person and in the marketing collateral that you're making out of it. And if you're going to do it right. Don't do it halfway and at that point even expect halfway results. I mean, do it all the way and get the guarantee that you're looking for. Absolutely. So you mentioned in an interview, I think it was in 2021, that one of the driving reasons, motives that you had when you were first getting into real estate was somebody that you had worked with essentially telling you no, telling you you couldn't do it, it's too hard. Other people I know have tried. What impact has that no kind of had on where you ended up now? And do you think that you're just the type of person that hears no or is told you can't do something and just pushes past it regardless? Was that just a real estate thing? That's a good question. I think it's a life thing. I think, I have a mom that's always been very supportive. I had a dad. My dad passed away, sadly. Always told me that I could do whatever I wanted to do. Put your mind on something and go after it and you can get it. My dad always told me also, you can have a boss and that's okay, or you can be the boss and it's up to you. And so those things always stuck with me. And so I did find that I was in a situation that I was very comfortable in. And then someone, basically told me that I couldn't be a successful real estate agent. And I actually, at the time, I didn't have much interest in being a real estate agent. I was more of a marketing position, and that person telling me no, it really pushed and drove me to say, you know what, I'm just going to do it just to
not necessarily to prove to her, but just to show that I can do anything that I put my mind to. And so that happened, and it was a big driving force of not half-assing my way through my first year when I decided to take the leap.
And if you're going to take that leap, and it's a big leap to take, I think it's something that you have to be really mentally prepared to go all in, because if you go halfway in, she's going to be right. It's going to be too hard and you're not going to have done enough. But going 100% in and believing in yourself and knowing that if I do the things, check off the things that are on the list in my head, like other people have figured this out, that same kind of why not me mentality that you would mention in that interview, do you feel like that translates to other elements of your marketing, like that belief in yourself, portraying, that confidence? Because there's always the element of like, if it doesn't look like you believe in what you're saying, why would anybody else believe in what you're saying? Do you feel like that confidence and that belief in yourself translates?
Absolutely. And it wasn't just that one instance. It was, you'll never be an agent in Del Mar. You'll never sell luxury real estate. You'll never, or not necessarily me personally, you'll never, but, it's impossible to do this. Or, you can't just do, there's agents that have been around forever that it's like, well, they're not going to be around forever. There's always room for more. So, I do have that why not me attitude. And absolutely, I mean, when I had an opportunity to partner with the San Diego Padres and be a sponsor for them, I was like, heck yeah. I mean, that's not something that I initially thought could be a possibility, but why not? Why not try it? Why not go for it? I have agents that have been doing incredible work for years and years in real estate saying, I don't know how to sell a luxury home. I only sell, $1 million or less. It's like, what are you talking about? Like that small mindset just kills me. I don't have that. Why not? Why wouldn't you be? It's the same contract. It's the same process. It's the same people. I mean, they're people. So, letting others or outside factors intimidate is just not on my radar at all.
I think people have a tendency to, like, once you get beyond the basic, the first one or two steps into something, especially in real estate, at every level that you go up, you're still dealing with people. At no point does it become like a mechanical process that you need like a physical, adaptation or something to do. Like, you're just dealing with people. If you have the skill set to be able to close $1 million deal, you can multiply that number up, and the process, in theory, at least stays the same. It's just when people see a certain dollar amount or see that transition from, one branch of real estate into really high-end luxury or into commercial, they overcomplicate it in the sense of like, oh, I can't do that. Other people are already doing it. Like, what makes you think that you can?
Absolutely.
One of the big picture goals that I've heard you mention on another podcast was wanting to buy your mom a house. Is that right?
Yes.
So where are you kind of on that journey, and like, what are the exciting parts? What are the less exciting parts?
Well, it's interesting. When I had that goal in mind, it was just a goal. I don't know why I had it, but it was a goal that I had. And then what I didn't realize is several years later, my mom would be diagnosed with breast cancer. And that was scary for me. I mean, already, losing my dad to lung cancer 10 years ago. I didn't want to lose another parent. My husband had just lost 2 parents. And so I was like, we cannot lose our last parent. We're too young. And that was just the last push that I needed, that I was not going to wait until she was gone to say, I wish I could have done this for her. I wish I would have done more. And so thankfully, my mom is cancer-free now. It was a scary battle. But February 22nd, 2022, we closed escrow on a home about 5 minutes from me. So that was it was something that I set out to do and did. And it wasn't just helping to buy the house. We tore it apart and made everything new and renovated it. And she is just over the moon, that she can be closer to me. I mean, she was still in San Diego, but she was about 30 minutes away, and now we're about 5 minutes away. And so just being able to spend more time together and taking that big load off her back was really, really special, super rewarding for me.
Yeah, and that's I don't know how much more rewarding a goal can possibly get, and I and I'm sure a lot of other people really identify with that goal in particular. And my dad had cancer 2019, October 2019 is when he had his surgery, and prostate cancer. So he's been free and clear for the most part since, but that's
Good.
always in the back of my mind. And my mom has always kind of had one minor health scare or another, and I've kind of been telling myself for years that there's so many things that like I need to do with them and for them before you only have the opportunity for so long. And just the thought of buying my parents a house close to that would be absolutely end goal for me, for sure. And that's I have obviously a long way to go before that's super realistic happening this year timeline. That's the hope. That's definitely the hope. But I hearing that story, I'm like taking a deep breath. It for sure hits home for me too. I know it does for a lot of other people.
Oh,
is there a like brainstorming in your head, like a 2 to 3 year plan that you think you could lay out for other real estate agents, realtors, people that are looking to kind of put themselves at least in the position to be able to do something like that? What's like a 2 to 3 year plan that you think gets somebody on the right track to be able to buy someone they love a home, their self a home, something like that?
It's just hustle. You just have to hustle. You have to work when you don't always want to work. I mean, I would say 2015, 2016, those were critical years for me. That's when I was transitioning to the Del Mar area. And I wasn't the best friend. I wasn't the best mom. I was working so much. And I just, I gave everyone as much love as I had, but it was a sacrificial time for me just to put my head down and start building. And, holidays, maybe I was out showing property. Maybe I was out, doing open houses, whatever I could do. And so much of this business is what you put into it, definitely. But when you put yourself out there, then it becomes a game of roulette. I mean, think of any open house. You can sit there, no one can come through. You can sit there and the neighbors or looky-loos can come through, and hopefully you make a good presentation for them in case they want to sell. Maybe they're not buyers. Really not restricting or limiting your thinking, but somebody could even just walk in and say, "I'll buy it. Can you write the offer for me?" And it's like, whoa, that wasn't on my radar yesterday, but you just kind of fell into my lap, and now I have a sale, and then taking that one sale and trying to build 3 more sales. I think of every sale or every relationship as one seed, and it sounds, very cliche, but it's like every opportunity is a seed, and you're going to plant those seeds. And if you don't water it, and if you don't bring out the sun, then nothing's going to grow from it. And it's easy to neglect and let things die. And it's easy to be frustrated if you do take care and you do all the watering and you are in and the environment's right and things don't grow. It can be frustrating and you can get discouraged. But if you think bigger picture, like, well, I just need to plant more seeds. Yes, some will die, but the more I plant, the more will grow. And there is a harvest for anyone that wants to put the effort into it. and do a good job and be ethical in their journey, and care about the reputation and the relationships that they make, that will grow. And so that one-off opportunity at an open house, maybe now you're marketing your sale and you're doing a good job with that. Maybe you're nurturing that client, and now he's going to say, gosh, I'm so glad I met you. I have 5 friends that want to move to San Diego. You just never know the opportunity around the corner. And so, that would be my only advice, is just to really think about that there's an abundance out there. And if you have a limited mindset that you can't do it, then you can't. It's like you're going to tell yourself the truth. If you can't do it, then you can't do it. But if you say, I can do this, then you can do it. You just have to work hard. And not everyone has to put in sacrificial years like I did, but just focused on a plan and working and hustling and doing right by other people, it will happen.
Yeah, I really love the seeds example, and I have a sort of life phrase that I write on all my mirrors. I have it on sticky notes, right? Around my apartment. It's something that I've lived by for years, and it's just what you water grows. And it's something that I have always told myself to kind of remind myself to focus on things that have a long-term benefit. The times that I really don't want to work over a weekend, or want to go hang out with friends, or want to go take a trip, or spend money on something fun instead of spending it on something business related. That phrase has kept me, just the thought process behind it has kept me, I think, on track in a way that if I didn't necessarily constantly remind myself that like I'm on a mission, there's something I have to do, and that thing that I'm doing is not, like, my current goal is not necessarily to have fun. I think there's a lot of times that I could look at that I would have gotten sidetracked. I would have said yes when a couple of friends wanted to go backpack for a couple of months, and would have known that I would not have had a business to come back to if I checked out for a couple of months. Like, there's times that I know without a doubt I've sacrificed on what would have been fun memories, what would have been cool experiences, just knowing that if I water what I know is going to grow, that I can do that down the line, and I can kind of have both. But if I spend the time doing fun things now, I can't necessarily have a business down the line too. Like, I at least I am of the thought process, I kind of have to do one of those to get myself on track to get the other. Building the business will get me on track to be able to have fun and to be able to do things for my parents and my family, but having that fun won't necessarily get me on track to build a business. So
and there's a way to mix the two. I mean, I think there's a way to, but it's being mindful of it. So maybe it's, on Sunday, I wish I could be with friends, but I have an open house. Well, but what about scheduling, a lunch or a brunch beforehand, and maybe even talking to those friends about your opportunities and what you're working on and how they can support you, and then going and doing your open house, and then, allotting time for follow-up, and then time for friends. And, I think you can have both if you're mindful of it and plan for things like that.
Yeah, and if you're good at time management as well, yes. I think that is a huge underrated skill set that I go through spurts of being great and spurts of not being so great, and it's definitely on a skill set that I'm looking to improve list. But yes, time management I think helps a lot with that. Just the whole lifestyle balance gets dramatically easier if, when you're time blocking things out and you say, I'm going to spend 2 hours doing this, if you actually spend 2 hours doing it and you get it done. Everything becomes so much more difficult when you mentally schedule out, I'm going to accomplish this task in 2 hours, and then it takes you 6 hours because you either, weren't focused or didn't accurately estimate the amount of time. And I've done that to myself too. And then everything else on the schedule just kind of feels like catch up. And so many things that were on the schedule that were maybe like, oh, I'm going to grab lunch or grab a beer with this friend, or I'm thinking about going home, seeing my parents, for a day this weekend. Those are always the first things to get cut. The balanced aspect of your life is the first thing, at least for me, that gets cut when things on the work side start to go wrong. So when you're able to balance that and you're able to schedule your life out in a way that you're actually able to get done, I think there's a lot more balance there than you might expect, even knowing that like you have to sacrifice some time, but it doesn't have to be 100% sacrifice. And you still should and can and deserve to have elements of a real life, and you don't have to just lock yourself in a house for 2 years and see the sun when you come out. So I'm glad that you I think are better at managing your personal life and fun elements than I have been at times, for sure.
Well, you can work on it and get better.
Yeah, and that's definitely the goal. So I really appreciate your time. I want you to tell everyone how they can find you, how they can get in contact with you, where they can follow you, and if you have any listings, anything that you're coming up that you really want to talk about, show off, totally open floor for you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Well, if you're looking for me, you can always call me on my direct cell phone, which is 760-533-2326. I'm always happy to help, answer questions. I love sharing, collaborating, anything like that. You can find me at thedunlapteam.com. That's my website. You can find me on Instagram at dunlap.lindsay. And yeah, new listings. I've got a really exciting penthouse coming soon in Carlsbad Village. It's on State Street. If you haven't been to Carlsbad Village, it's just incredible. All the new shops and stores and restaurants. It's really turned into a really cool lifestyle down there. So we're seeing a lot of second homes being purchased there. A lot of people from the East Coast, even Arizona. Maybe it's too hot sometimes, and so they're looking to cool down. But it's a beautiful building that was built in 2021. This is one of 2 penthouses. It's single level, so you can take the elevator straight to the top. It's 2 bedrooms plus an office space, oversized deck, about 2,500 square feet. And there are ocean views from the deck. That's great for entertaining. So that will be coming out probably in the next week or two, and it will be listed just under $3 million, 2.995. That's the big one. I've got something coming up in Escondido, something coming up in Del Mar. So if you have some buyer needs, let me know. And you're always welcome to find me every Tuesday morning at Hotel Indigo, 11 a.m. I host the Del Mar, Rancho Santa Fe, Solana Beach, Carmel Valley pitch session. We call it the Coastal Caravan. So it's a great opportunity. It's a beautiful place. There's ocean views. We serve breakfast and coffee. So any agents are welcome to come from any areas, and you can come in, sit at a booth and be under the radar, or you can get out of your shell and meet new agents and mix and mingle and learn more about what's going on. So I hope to see you guys there.
Awesome. Well, check out the Coastal Caravan. Stop in at this awesome sounding penthouse. Lindsay Dunlap, awesome talking with you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Content on Tap podcast. Please subscribe and drop us a review, and you can follow me on social at I'm Brian Hernandez. Have a great day.